Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's NueTendo, and today I just wanted to talk about the difference between this controller and this controller, and why it actually doesn't matter which one you use to play in fighting games. Alright, so this video really stemmed from a quick YouTube search and finding that there really aren't a lot of videos talking about the differences between the two controllers. And I mean, the two that I saw right at the top were from some larger channels for sure. And you might have already watched them. And they might be giving you similar answers to what I'm about to give. And that's just on the importance of not stressing what controller you use for fighting games, especially if you're new. And I think this really stemmed from when I was first like really committing to playing fighting games. I think it all really started with Injustice. I had a buddy, and that was like the first guy that I knew that was like really into fighting games, and I always wanted to be really into fighting games. So that was the game that we both like got into. And from then on, I just decided like I really enjoy this kind of game, this genre, so I want to play more of them. And for the longest time, I used whatever platform I was using, like the controller. So whether it be Xbox, whether it be PlayStation, I would use a pad. And over time, I became fascinated with the idea of using a fight stick. And I'm like, man, like that's what all the good people use. That's like what fighting games were originally made to be played with. Like, I'm going to get that and I'm going to be amazing. And I got my first stick, which is the TES Plus Street Fighter V Mad Cat stick. And boy, was I wrong. I got that thing obviously around Street Fighter V's release, and I got so bodied using that fight stick that it actually had like I stopped using fight sticks, and any fighting game that I played, I just played with the normal pad for the console I was on, or whatever. Like if there was an option to use a pad, I was using the pad. And that was just because I hated the idea of losing with something that I thought would give me an advantage. And so you might be new to fighting games. You might be seeing this video for the first time, and you might be looking at like, what the heck is this guy talking about? And you might be looking at, say, DNF Duel. New fighting game on the block. Has a lot of beginner-friendly mechanics and concepts, and honestly, a great tutorial that runs through every character-specific move and tells you like the best way to use it. Like, I was very impressed with the tutorial of this game, and you might be looking at it and thinking, "I'm gonna get a fight stick, and I'm gonna be really good at this." And if you've never used a fight stick before, you're probably not going to be really good at this. Realistically, though, a majority of us are probably going to switch to a fight stick for the first time and then find that it's very difficult to win because we have not built up the muscle memory, nor do we have the experience outside of some very, very casual arcade moments, maybe, using a fight stick. And that's okay. And I want to stress that too, because it shouldn't matter which controller you use in fighting games. It really shouldn't. You should never think of one as more highly than the other. They are both different tools with very, very similar, if not identical, purpose. This thing is going to do the same exact thing as a fight stick, and it's got its own caveats. Same with the fight stick, vice versa. But they will both allow you to reach the success, the victories, the wins that you desire. It's just the amount of time and the preference that you have toward one over the other. And that's what matters. I have a friend, and I got him playing DNF Duel, and he has never really played fighting games, but knowing him and knowing his way of going about things and his commitment to certain things, like he used to play Apex, and I'm talking he would sit in the gun range or whatever, the firing range, whatever it's called, and he would literally just shoot every type of weapon and practice controlling each different weapon's recoil, so that way when he played a match, he was very comfortable with shooting any weapon he had to pick up. And so he has that characteristic within him to commit and really learn something and dive deep into understanding it. And I can see him doing really well within a fighting game. But what can be so difficult for him is starting from square one and then playing someone like me. I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm the best. I'm not. I'm really still learning DNF Duel because I am wanting to play it like it's a different game than it is. So that's been like a huge learning curve. But me just even understanding like fundamentals better, it's super frustrating on his end because I bet he wants to get there, but it's like, how do you get there when someone like this is playing against me and they just know everything to do and they're putting the pressure on me and like I have no idea what to do from this point. And so I understand that it can be very frustrating for new people stepping into a fighting game, and it can be very frustrating when you've decided to use a stick over a controller and you're not familiar with the stick. But I think the thing that we all need to realize is when you go into a fighting game, you're going into opportunities of learning. Yeah, we're making it educational, y'all. But fighting games offer opportunities to learn. And it's weird because you're thinking, oh, this is a game. I'm just playing a game for fun and I want to win. But when either you're switching to a new controller peripheral, when you're switching to a new fighting game, or you're trying a new character, or you're playing a different opponent, you are learning. Either learning how to use that new thing, that new controller. You're learning how to play against an opponent you haven't faced yet. Or you're learning how to play against an opponent with a character you've never fought against. And I think that's what makes fighting games so special. And that's what makes the idea of what controller do I use unimportant. You should always use the controller you want to use. Just as you should always play the character that looks cool to you, that you just want to use. Don't go and say, like, even if it might be like a highly technical character, don't let that dissuade you from picking that character up and at least trying them and playing with them because you enjoy how they do play. That should never matter. The beauty of fighting games is how much you can learn from them. They're always new experiences. I was talking with my boss the other day, and we were just going about, like, you know, when my time in my role is finished, like, if I were to leave this place, like, where would I go? What would I do? And I started talking about, like, my desire for stepping into something potentially that will keep me on my toes or give me many opportunities to quickly adapt. And I compared it to my boss with fighting games. They're not very well versed with fighting games, so it was funny just like making that comparison. But I was explaining to them, when I'm playing a fighting game, it's like I'm playing a 1v1 game of chess where each of us only has one piece and we're both literally trying to outplay the other person with that one piece that they also share. And so to me, fighting games are like this very fine dance between two people. And most of the time, you're never going to fight the same person more than 3 times, maybe. And so you're always going to be experiencing a new type of fight, a new type of player, a new type of character, a new way of a character being used. And so you're always having opportunities where you're learning and having to quickly adapt and counters, right? And so you both are always looking like, where's the opening? How am I going to bait them to do something? How am I going to get them to do this so I can punish them and then get my turn and then make them figure out what I'm going to do next? Like, how do I take control of a battlefield that we both share? It's not like I'm running into his base with his people in there, or he's running into my base with my people. We're both sharing the same battleground with the same fundamentals, just different ways that we're able to use them. And that's like the beautiful thing. I said that's like my third time saying it. It's a beautiful thing of fighting games. It's learning. And that's learning how to use the controller you've decided to commit to. That's learning the game that you've decided to play. That's learning the character you've decided to use. That's learning how to play against characters in the roster that other people play. And then that's learning even how your character, other characters can be used in different situations by different people. And I think it reinforces our ability to adapt, to think critically, and to assess situations and be proactive. Like, being proactive. You're attempting to read and understand an opponent's move before they've even committed to the thought of it. And you're anticipating it. You're being proactive. And so it's building up all these like great fundamentals within people. And it's a fighting game. You play with like 6 buttons. Or 8. Or however many. 1 button. It's Street Fighter. The first Street Fighter with 1 button. Or 2 buttons. I forget I think it was 2 buttons. Like, that's just awesome. And I don't think there's any other game that's given me that same feeling as a fighting game, where you're always constantly thinking of new ways to exploit your opponent, new ways to open them up, new ways to understand them, and to anticipate what they're doing. And it's this fine balance, this back and forth. And sometimes you get folded like laundry, like they just run you they run you down. And sometimes you're the one folding them and you're running them down. And sometimes it's so close that you don't know who's gonna take it. And then the anticipation, the thrill of battle, the heart of battle, like it just amplifies so much. And so this is a rambling kind of video, and I missed my Wednesday upload, but I wanted to make something that's been kind of on my mind since I've started playing DNF Duel, just because this is the first game for me personally that I've really committed to using a fight stick with. You know, I've been playing like Third Strike and other things like that, but it feels different when I'm playing those games because they were from a different time and they're slower to me. Whereas this DNF Duel feels like an anime fighter, but with like Street Fighter movement. And it, like, in my mind, those two don't like mix. And so I'm sitting there thinking that I can air dash, air block, that I'm going to do something crazy like in Dragon Ball Fighters. And I'm not. The craziness does happen with the combos and systems and stuff like that. But like that movement, that mobility is not like that at all. It can be very grounded, this game. And so it's been a bit of a learning curve. And I'm slowly getting better. Slowly just putting in the time and just accepting like I got to learn. And even when I am frustrated, there are just so many opportunities or moments that remind me of like why I play fighting games. And one of them happened yesterday. I was running through ranked because I thought, you know, there's no other way to get better than by playing other people. And so I was in Silver 1 and I was so close to Silver 2. And so I went in and somebody was playing the freaking boss character of the game, Lost Warrior. I felt like I looked like Sid from Ice Age. I was trying to track. I was trying to track what this guy was doing the entire time. And there were like 3 rounds where I got so close. I was so close to winning, and he would do something and it would throw me off and I couldn't track it. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And he beat me twice. He won the set. And I was like so frustrated after the match, and I was queuing up the next one. And as I'm in the middle of that next match, he messages me. He says, GG's. And he really liked my troubleshooter. He's like, I liked what you were doing with the traps. And he seems really cool, like, as a character. And so after my second match, I messaged him back and I said, hey man, thanks, GG's to you. Like, I'm trying my best out here. And he messaged me back and he said, you got this. Plus, Lost Warrior is kind of broken. But it was the fact that he said, you got this. And that's also a beautiful thing about the fighting game community. Like, everyone is cheering you on. For the most part, you got some big heads out there. Whatever. But for the most part, everyone's super encouraging within this community, and everyone is cheering for each other. Like, when we're playing, like, we're always offering ways to better learn characters or better learn matchups, better learn how a game is played. And when he sent me that, like, the frustration dropped. I was still frustrated, obviously, a little bit, but that reminded me like why I play what I play and why I enjoy it. And it's the learning. It's how so many people take so many different tools to accomplish the same thing, like a pad or a fight stick. And it's the people. You really don't realize like how many people are like actually like hype about you playing against them. And this is just a side note. This video is getting longer than I thought it was. I was playing Street Fighter 3 on the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, Third Strike, and I was playing this dude, Coots, I think his name was, and he followed me on Twitch, so shout out to that guy. He was awesome, and we were playing, and I didn't realize his mic was on. So I'm playing, and you know I'm streaming it, and he's talking me up. He's talking me up as I'm doing stuff. Like he was getting like hype and surprised on like certain things that I was able to like link into each other. And that was cool. And it motivated me and it encouraged me because I'm late to trying out Third Strike. I didn't really play it too much. I played it when I was a kid for a bit, but I never actually like really tried the game until recently. And so just hearing somebody like talk me up and just encourage me, and he probably didn't even know I was listening. That was just awesome. And so just to wrap this video up, this is just more of like a rant, a ramble. I just wanted you guys to just hear my thoughts. This is just me talking almost to myself, but to you guys. And the controller you use doesn't matter. What matters is that you learn. What matters is that you adapt. What matters is that you commit. What matters is that you persevere within fighting games. And if you're new, keep on trying. Keep learning. Keep seeing what you messed up on. Keep seeing where you can improve, and you'll get there. You'll get to where you want to be for sure. You just got to do those things. And don't get worked up on what controller you use. It's never going to give you an advantage over somebody. So, yeah. If you guys made it to this point of the video, kudos to you. Because I feel like an old man sometimes how I ramble. But kudos to you for making it. I love just being able to share my thoughts and just do this kind of stuff, as simple as this video is. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, you want to see more things like this, just hear me ramble, talk on thoughts within fighting games or with anything, hit that like button. It helps me out a ton, and drop a comment below on that. And if you're new, subscribe. The support means the world to me, and until next time, see you guys on Flip. Peace.